Welcome to Girls Frontline 2. I'm Makiatto, and today I'll be introducing you to your girl, Makiatto. Makiatto is a Sentinel class character that uses a sniper rifle and deals freeze damage. Now let's take a look at her kit to see what she offers. Makiatto's basic attack is Lone Wolf territory. Selects one enemy target within 9 tiles and deals physical damage equal to 80% of attack to them. Active skill 1, Cold Precision Shot. Selects one enemy target within 9 tiles and deals freeze damage equal to 160% of attack. Increases the critical damage of this attack by 30%, gains 1 stack of cold conviction for each instance of a damage dealt. Active skill 2, Professional Tactics. Select one enemy target within 9 tiles of self, deals physical damage equal to 130% of attack, gains 4 points of competence index, and gains 2 stacks of standard approach. Ultimate, Absolute Mental Defense. Gains Frost Barrier and Alert for 2 turns. The absorption amount of Frost Barrier is equal to 65% of the initial attack, but cannot exceed 60% of max HP. Passive, Battlefield Insight. Increases critical rate by 40% and reduces critical damage by 10%. At the start of the turn, if this unit's HP exceeds 80%, gains Insight and Steady Progress until the next turn. When attacking a target with Frozen, ignores 4 points of Stability Index and increases damage dealt to them by 20%. When attacking a target with Frigid, ignores 6 points of Stability Index and increases damage dealt to them by 30%. These effects cannot stand. With her skills out of the way, let's take a look at her weapon options. Makiatto can equip any sniper rifle that you receive through the gacha or selected in the battle pass. But if you're dressing to impress, you definitely want to choose her weapon, which comes in 3 different variants. Retired W2000 at calibration level 6, increased damage by 6%. W2000. Attacks ignore 10% of the target's defense. If the target has freeze debuffs, ignore additional 10% of its defense. If HP is above 80%, out of turn damage is increased by 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20%. Makiatto's signature weapon, Bittersweet Caramel. Attacks ignore 10% of the target's defense. If the target has freeze debuffs, ignore additional 10% of its defense. Increases freeze damage dealt by 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20%. For every 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2 instances of damage dealt outside of own turn, increase damage dealt by the next active attack by 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20%. When it comes to weapon attachments, in the early game, you're going to want to pick up a 3 set of Phase Strike. Phase Strike deals 15% increased damage to targets with phase element debuffs. In the mid to end game, you want to pick up a 3 set of the Freeze Boost. When dealing freeze damage, the damage is increased by 20%. Now that we covered her weapon, let's move on to her fixed keys. Fixed key, Additional Intelligence. When the active skill, Cold Precision Shot, results in a kill, gains 1 point of competence index. Fixed key, Iced with Milk Foam. Gains 3 points of competence index at the start of the battle. Fixed key, Indomitable Lone Wolf. After using the active skill Professional Tactics, if there are no other allied units within 3 tiles, gains 1 stack of Lone Wolf. Fixed key, Time for a Break. When using Lone Wolf territory, Cold Precision Shot, or Professional Tactics over a freeze tile, cleanses all freeze debuffs from self and gains 3 tiles of additional movement. Fixed key, Heated Caramel. At the start of the battle, applies Murderous Intent to the enemy unit with the highest HP. Fixed key absolute concentration. Increase attack by 10% at the start of battle. This effect lasts until HP drops below 100% for the first time. Common key survival instinct. Attack boost 5%. At the start of the action, if own HP is greater than 80%, reduces the ability damage taken from attacks by 2 points. This can be triggered at most once per turn. Now let's talk about fortification. She works great at V0, but for light to mid spenders, you can consider picking up V1 and possibly V2. V1, Cold Precision Shot, level 2. Perform 2 attacks. Critical damage will no longer increase, and the damage dealt is decreased to 100% of attack. If the first attack crits, the critical rate of the second attack is increased by 100%, and the critical damage is increased by 80%. V2, Absolute Mental, level 2. The absorption amount of Frost Barrier is increased to 80% of this unit's initial attack, and the cap is increased to 80% of max HP. The number of interception triggered is increased by 1 time per turn. V3, Battlefield Insight, level 2. When dealing freeze damage to an enemy target with Frozen, increases the stability index ignored to 6 points. When dealing freeze damage to an enemy target with Frigid, increase the stability index ignored to 10 points. V4, Professional Tactics, level 2. Change standard approach to emergency plan. V5, Battlefield Insight, level 3. When dealing freeze damage to an enemy target with Frozen or Frigid, increases the stability index ignored to 10 points and damage dealt by 30%. V6, Absolute Mental, level 3. After using Absolute Mental Defense, gains 2 points of Confectance Index at the end of the action. This effect can be triggered 2 times. Interception can be triggered once more each turn. If the interception deals a critical hit, gains Rapture for 1 turn. Alright, when it comes to team members in Global, since we're in the early game, just use any of the units that you have leveled up. In the mid to end game, we will start to see more challenging events where you will have to consider elements or synergy. Just remember that Makiatto is a freeze damage DPS, and in the future, more freeze units will be available. Now that you met your girl Makiatto, I wish you the best of luck on getting her and possibly her weapon, and future units that will synergize and work well with her. Also, pertaining to the gacha, getting V1 is more important than getting her signature weapon. Thanks for watching the video, and please look forward to more uploads on character information.